Hey, so I just wanted to talk to you some about how Mega Millions works. First off, it's just a bunch of balls that are being blown around inside like a large jar, and then just due to suction, one will come down at a time. And now each ball could have a little bit different roughness on the edge or different weight. Everything is not exactly consistent when you get down to the small numbers. So we're trying to just find patterns in the actual results to then make assumptions about the balls and which ones will come next and probability statements like that. So that's kind of how the lottery works. Um, I want to just look at some of the data and discuss why the data looks like it does. So we're going to go into MATLAB, lottery right here, run this. And this gives us the lottery numbers for the first, the lowest number. And as you can see, it's generally around 2 and so forth downward. Now, make this 2. You can see how the numbers tend to shift. And since this is a histogram, that's why there's 120 in the block. It's not like 120 of one number, but it's in that area. But you can see it shifts because normally now the lowest number has already been taken, and you're shifting over a little bit to the right. It's still skewed way right, just because we're in the earlier numbers. Make this 3. Now, the function here is actually set up where it takes a histogram A, where the first column, or a matrix A, where the first column is a value that corresponds to the pick number. So not actually the ball number, but just 514 would be the most recent pick, or so forth. So I'm eliminating that column because that is no statistical input or influence. So then this is the third column, and now with the third column, this is the middle because the sixth one is on its own. So it is a little bit odd that we see a histogram that's still skewed right. Just going to show that data tends to be more concentrated in the lower numbers. And now we can look at the fourth, which is the second highest number. And now we're closer to the middle. You see most of them are right before 40 in the 35 to 40 range. And that is about half considering the data goes up to 75. But it's odd that it would take till the fourth number to be in the middle. So that's just the kind of data we see here. And when we go to 5, we see another set of numbers that are mainly concentrated up between 50 and 55, and then there's the drop down. Now this is just the final number, and this is all random, and the highest it's been was around 45, but more recently it's only been limited to 15, so that's why the 15 tends to stick out. And also, just going back to, for instance, 5, when you see the little drop off right here, that's because data numbers didn't always go up to 75. So there's a little bit of room for error, and it probably would tend to even out a little bit more. But from the data we have, It's most likely seeming like it's concentrated left, and a few other just pure numerical results will prove that. If we look at individual numbers, we can go over to Postgres, and the total occurrences column right here tells us for all the numbers combined what numbers occur the most. And I have this ordered by total occurrences in descending. So the most common number are 10, 3, 2, 11, 9, 4, 15. And that's just, those are the bulk of the numbers. Now, all the numbers up to 15 are included in the N6, but N1 through N5 has the whole spectrum of numbers. So greater than just to 15. So it makes sense that we'd see numbers that are within 15 in the first 9, or the 9 total occurrences, most popular occurrences. But generally, that's where all the picks are going to be from. So if you start selecting data from that range and spread it out between multiple picks, that tends to be what the statistics are showing to be the best option. And now we can check for each column most prominent numbers. This is column 1 right here. We see the most popular number is 55, and the most common number. And then, or is 2, and that's came 55 times at last 514, which is a very large number. And then we can check N2, which starts at 15, and it's very fitting that it would start at 15, just because if you kind of split up the 75 into 5 sections, N1 through N5, ignoring N6 because that's special ball, they'd each have a 15 ball range where they take up the most. So it actually is very fitting that 15 would start be the most common. So if you're making a second pick, or your second highest number, your best option would be 15. We can try the same for N3, and we see that the most common number is 24, slightly less than the 30 that we would have predicted. But then going back to the graph, we noticed that it was not centered and or skewed right. And so picking a lower number tends to be more of a better guess. And so through these studies, we are trying to prove why that would be. What is it with the balls that is causing this? But the data strictly shows that the lower numbers tend to have higher frequencies. You can do the same thing with N4. All you have to do is change all 3s to 4s. Most common number is 47, and this is where we would have expected this to be about. As we said, it was about in the middle, and so this follows the generalized system. And then N5. N5 came up 36 times at 53, so this is the highest number. And it's ironic the highest number is not 60 like you might expect, or it is in that range though, between 45 to 60. But it's not 75 even. We have multiple data values at 75, but then once again, I mentioned how they didn't always go up to 75. So that would be a likely reason. We do see 75 down here at 5 times, but it is a lot less likely than even some of the other ones that we know were included, like 27, because 27 would have most likely been included, but 4 in one of the other N1s, or N1 through N4. So those are just the most prominent numbers. We saw 2, we saw 15, 23, and 24, then about 45, and now we're looking at 53. And N6, this is the Powerball, or the special ball. And when we run this, we see the most common number is 1. It's fitting that It would be any one of those, but from the data that we've already seen, it's fitting that it would be one because the higher numbers have tended to have more a higher frequency, or the lower numbers have had a higher frequency. So that is my current study on the lottery. Thank you.